everyone, welcome back. We've got another deep dive curated just for you. And today we're tackling a tough one. We're looking at Kanye West and, well, his recent behavior. It's been pretty disturbing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely been tough to watch.
So, he's obviously this musical icon, like a huge figure in music and pop culture. But lately he's been making headlines. And not for good reasons this time.
Right. Not for the music.
Yeah. He wants to go by Ye now.
Yeah.
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 And we found this YouTube video breaking down like a whole bunch of his tweets, these really controversial tweets. And honestly, it's kind of a scary look into how much power people have online these days.
It really is. It makes you think, like, what happens when someone with that kind of a platform, millions and millions of followers, uses it to spread stuff that's actually harmful?
Exactly. And that's what's so unsettling about this whole Kanye thing. It's not just about someone being provocative or controversial for the sake of it. It's way deeper than that. This is about someone with a massive online platform. I mean, huge. Millions of followers hanging on his every word. And he's using that power to push some seriously dangerous ideologies.
Yeah, and I think a good place to start is with that incident from February 7th.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier this year.
2025.
Yeah, 2025. Where he just went on this Twitter rant.
He went off.
It was really something. And he was expressing admiration for Hitler.
Yeah, it was really hard to read some of that stuff. Like straight up admiration for Hitler using racial slurs.
Homophobic language.
Yeah.
Ableist slurs, targeting people with disabilities, and then some really deeply anti-Semitic claims. Like, it was bad.
It was awful. And I think it's important to highlight those anti-Semitic comments specifically.
Right.
Because they weren't just like offhand remarks.
Yeah.
He was pushing these really dangerous stereotypes, talking about how Jewish people hate white people and steal, this idea that Jewish people are somehow controlling everything. Like, these are ideas that have been used to justify centuries of prejudice and violence.
Absolutely. And these aren't new ideas.
No.
They're rooted in this long and tragic history. But to see them being repeated by someone with Kanye's influence, that's really concerning.
It's terrifying to think of the millions of people exposed to that kind of rhetoric. And, it wasn't just like people on Twitter talking about it. The video mentions that the Anti-Defamation League, like they actually had to step in. They condemned his posts, called it a dangerous display of hate. A dangerous display of hate.
Yeah, and it wasn't just them either. Yeah. There were a ton of organizations and individuals who spoke out against it.
But then, on the other hand, you had people like Nick Fuentes,
right?
This white supremacist, praising Kanye, saying he's finally speaking the truth. Like, come on.
Right, and I don't think that's a coincidence. You have to wonder, is he aligning himself with figures like Fuentes intentionally?
Strategically.
Yeah, as a way to further a specific agenda, even if it's hidden behind this sort of like outsider rebel persona.
Right.
And I think that's what makes this so dangerous. He's able to tap into this us against them narrative.
Yeah.
That really resonates with certain groups, people who feel like they've been ignored or marginalized by society.
Exactly. And it makes you think, is he using these extreme viewpoints to gain power?
I think it's possible.
That's scary.
It's a way to gain influence.
It's a very scary thought. And then, on top of all of that, you have the issue of platform accountability. Like Twitter.
Right.
Or X, I guess it's called now.
Yeah.
They banned him in 2022 for similar behavior.
Yeah, he was off the platform for a while.
But now he's back. So it kind of feels like these companies, are they just turning a blind eye? Like, what's going on?
I think it's a really complex issue. And Kanye's reinstatement raises all sorts of questions about how effective these platforms really are at regulating harmful content. On the one hand, you have the argument for free speech.
Right.
People should be allowed to express themselves. But then on the other hand, you have the very real potential for harm when these platforms are used to spread hate speech and incite violence.
Yeah, it's a tough balance to strike. And then, there was also that whole thing where Kanye tried to explain away some of his past behavior.
Oh, right.
By saying he was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really sensitive area, and we can't speculate about anyone's mental health. But I think it's important to be very clear about this. Mental health conditions should never be used to excuse or justify hateful actions.
Right.
And to do so is really dangerous.
It feels almost like a deflection tactic.
Yeah.
Like, don't look at my actions, look at my diagnosis. And speaking of deflecting, despite everything that happened in 2022, like he faced Massive backlash, loss, major partnerships. The guy seems totally unfazed. He just keeps doubling down on these statements.
I know. And that's the part that I find so baffling. Like, what is driving this continued defiance?
It's like he almost wants the negative attention.
Maybe it is a bid for attention or a way to stay relevant.
Or maybe he actually believes this stuff.
Or maybe, yeah, he genuinely believes in these harmful ideologies.
Like a puzzle. Like what's really going on in his head.
It's a complex psychological puzzle, for sure.
So just to kind of sum it up here, we have Kanye, this guy with this massive platform, using it to spread hate. We have these giant social media companies trying to figure out how to control this kind of content. And then you have the very real consequences for the communities he's targeting. It's messed up.
It is, and I think it highlights something really important. The power and the responsibility that comes with having a huge online platform.
Right. Like it's not just a game.
No. What you say online can have real-world consequences. And Kanye's case is a prime example of that. It's this stark reminder that words have consequences, especially when they're amplified through social media.
Yeah. It makes you realize how easily hate speech can thrive online. Like the line between what happens online and offline, it's getting blurrier and blurrier every day.
It is.
And this isn't just about Kanye, This is about a much bigger issue. It's about all of us and the responsibility we share to fight back against hate speech.
Exactly.
Online and offline. So yeah, that's a lot to think about.
It is.
And I think that's a good place to leave it for today. But for those of you listening, the conversation doesn't end here. Think about this. If hate speech can spread so easily online, then surely compassion and understanding can too. Right. We all have a part to play in building a more inclusive and empathetic online world.
Couldn't agree more.
So until next time.
See ya.